What's up, kings and queens? It's your boy Dan from Daft Previews. We've got an 8-game slate on the NBA. The Commissioner's Cup commences. I've got one bet to share with you and a whole list of leans. But before we get there, quick recap on the video I just did with you guys. 1 and 2 day. The only winner was Alex Sarr, and we found that on the stream together. Took him for 2 blocks, and even that was sweaty. 2 losers on the day. I'm quite disappointed in myself, to be honest with you. The first one was Darius Garland, over 6.5 assists. When I woke up in the morning, every man and his dog had the exact same play. Darius Garland didn't get it done. The other play, we took Jordan Poole under his rebounds and assist line. My man absolutely killed it. I can't even explain what happened there. But at the end of the day, we're going to mark that down as a losing day. 1 and 2. It's not good enough. We need to get better. And that's what I'm hoping to do for you guys today. Now, one thing I do want to call out, and I share it up on my screen right here, is all the leans that I went through in that last video. I shared 15 of those suckers, I think, or 16. One of the players was void. They ended up cashing 10 and 5. So we had 10 winners. 5 of those ended up losing. So I'm going to get back to it. I'm going to share with you the leans that I have, and hopefully you like some of these, do your own research, and you can cash out as well. But for now, I've only got the 1 pick, so we'll get started on that. Now, if that sounds interesting, let's go. Now we're jumping into Props Madness. Quick update on Props Madness, actually. They now have similar playmakers and similar rebounders. It's a new addition, and I'll show you that as we preview some of these players. They also have first quarter markets as one of the props that you can break down in first quarter points. So now we can get all the data on the first quarter stuff along with the matchup stuff. So it's pretty exciting. And one that I'm pretty keen for is they now have usage rates as part of one of the advanced filters. So Props Madness, it's going to continue to get better. They've got a whole list of optimizations and improvements they're going to get through. So be sure to check these guys out. 7-day free trial in the video description below, and you'll get 25% off if you use the code DAFT when you sign up. Now, before we get into my favorite pick, the only pick that I have so far, I'm probably not going to dive into too much detail in this video. I'll be straight up with you. I'm tired. I'm not saying I'm burnt out, but I am tired. Working 10 to 12 hours a day, coming home to raise some kids, spending 3 to 4 hours a night to create some content, put some bets down, starts to catch up with you. So I'm looking to record this, edit it, send it out to you guys, pop an edible, head to sleep, wake up, and then I'm going to finalize some of my bets. So if you're interested in seeing what bets I do land on, check out the Winnable link in the video description below. Sign up to the free section, and you'll get all of my straight bets that I ultimately land on. But today, I'll give you my bet, and I'll give you all the leans. Those leans, very profitable yesterday. I'll track them once again, and I'll share with you guys the results, but let's get into it. So there's 8 games on this slate. The only game bet that I've already taken with confidence is this play for Giannis Antetokounmpo. Looking to take his over in points plus assists. Some places you can get it at 39.5, some 40.5. There's pretty good odds at 39.5 depending on where you look, and that's ultimately what I'm going to look to take today. Now, he's only hit this in 4 out of 9 games in this season. Nothing amazing, averaging 36.8. But the big news out of Milwaukee, no Dame Lillard. Now, Giannis been putting this team on his back in a lot of these games. No Dame. He's got no option but to. And he also has a good matchup here. He's up against the Toronto Raptors. The Raptors have been quietly competitive in some games this season, but they do have the worst defensive rating in the league. The Raptors, if you take a look at this, Giannis scores all his points in the paint. You didn't need me to tell you that, but the Raptors, one of the worst teams at defending in the paint. It's pretty straightforward. Bottom 5 in points in the paint allowed. In terms of Giannis' scoring types, most of the scoring types that he has, it's a great matchup for him. So let's not overcomplicate it. Giannis is going to dominate. He's going to get a lot of assists with no Dame in the lineup, and he's going to score a whole lot of points because he's Giannis, and the Bucks season is hanging by a thread. I know it's early, but hanging by a damn thread. So keeping it simple, Giannis over his points plus assists. That's the only bet that I've got down already. But I do have a list of leans. But before we jump into those lists of leans, I ask that you subscribe to the channel, baby. We're almost up to 12,000. We got a couple hundred subs to go. So please, if you haven't already, like the video, subscribe to the channel, and then just put any comment you possibly can in the comment section below. Every time you do that, it helps YouTube push this video out to more people. And please, go ahead and do me a favor, and let's get this video out. My channel is relatively small to all the big players in the league, so I need all the help that I can get. So help me out. like the video, subscribe, and drop me a comment below. Now let's get into these leans, shall we? All right, so looking at these leans, first I'll let you know the category that I really look for here is I look for a great hit rate and I look for a good matchup and opportunity. It's a pretty straightforward strategy. It's nothing too advanced here. So we're looking at the first game. We're looking at the Miami Heat versus Detroit Pistons. And the thing that comes to mind here is probably Jalen Duren, looking at his rebounds, but I have a feeling this might be a popular play. His season data, it's not too convincing. He's only hit this in 4 out of 9 games, averaging 9.7 rebounds per game. He did have 11 rebounds the last time he played Miami, though, and using the similar players tool, 2 out of the 4 similar players against Miami have hit. But if we look at it by position, a lot of centers have had pretty strong rebounding games. Rudy had 13, Jokic had 11. Valanciunas and Sarr, so they pretty much share minutes. They had 13 combined. Jalen Duren had 11, and Nick Richards had 12 rebounds against them. So Miami are giving up a lot of rebounds to centers. It's a lean, but partly why it's a lean is because I know a lot of people are going to bet on it, and a lot of the time those things are biting me in the ass. So if it's a very popular play, probably not something that I want to fuck around with. In terms of hit rate, I guess the other one is Cade Cunningham. You've got to look at his rebounds and assists. Now, he's hit this in 4 straight games. He had 3 triple-doubles and a big game against Houston with 8 rebounds and 9 assists. Up against Miami, who is a somewhat difficult matchup, but it's not as difficult as the Houston Rockets game. So 15.5, something he can definitely cover, but he's been playing out of his mind as of late. Normally, this line should sit at about 12.5, 13.5 for Cade. And I'm just waiting for the moment that he stops hitting because he's playing out of his mind at the moment. And I can't guarantee he continues to do that. So the hit rate on these players is great. Their form is terrific. I just don't think I can take it. I need more evidence. I need more reason to. But yeah, that's all I really had in that Miami Heat versus Detroit game. I didn't love it too much, but we do have the Hornets versus the Magic. These teams pretty good to bet on because you can somewhat predict where the numbers are going to come from. And one thing that I did consider here is taking Jalen Suggs under 15.5 points. Now, I've already got this filtered to his minutes his games without Paolo Banchero. You can see he's averaging 14 points per game with Banchero out of the lineup. He's under in 3 straight. Up against the Charlotte Hornets, who, for the most part, not a great defensive team, but this season, they're a pretty difficult matchup for someone like Jalen Suggs. They're defending the perimeter somewhat decently, but they're leaking points in the paint, right under the basket. Jalen Suggs, not necessarily known for scoring around the rack, so I don't love his matchup here. Also, Orlando have had a lot of success getting points from other places. Franz is scoring, De Silva, Caldwell Pope, Mo Wagner, Bataze. Like, they've got a lot of people who are chipping in right now. This is not necessarily a Franz Wagner, Jalen Suggs 1-2 punch the whole game. It's not happening that way. The Magic getting a lot of players involved. Rotations are somewhat deep, and they're getting points from everybody. So Jalen Suggs, I do lean to the under for 15.5 points for him. But if you want to look at an over for Jalen Suggs, one that I considered is this rebounds prop. So these are the games without Banchero. He's averaging 5.3 over this line in 4 out of 6 games. And if we look at similar players, we can say by position. 8 out of 15 guards have gone over. So it's not a bad matchup. They give up some rebounds to guards, and Suggs definitely can make that happen. But I question, does Suggs get the LaMelo Ball matchup? Probably. It'd be him or Kentavious Caldwell-Pope. So that was a lean, but I don't necessarily love it too much. It's just got a pretty good hit rate. Another one with an excellent hit rate, and a lot of it does come down to recent form here, is Kentavious Caldwell-Pope. Now, looking at his rebounds plus assists, his line's at 5.5. In the games without Banchero, he's over this line in 4 consecutive games, 7, 7, 8, and 8. And he's up against the Hornets here, who play with quite a bit of pace, and when there's a lot of pace, there's a lot of opportunities. So there's no really other reason to take that apart from the fact that he's probably going to get between 28 and 35 minutes. The pace is going to be high, and Caldwell Pope can definitely get it done by the looks of things, what he's been doing lately. He's been rebounding okay. The assist numbers are coming in consistently. If we check out his boards, averaging 3.7. If we look at his assists, averaging 2.3, covering his line of 1.5 with ease. And it's minus 175 to the over 1.5. So the books are pretty much saying he is going to get 2 assists. Then you're kind of betting on him to get 3 boards. The line's at 3.5, and he's favored to get about 3. So if we put those suckers together, 5.5, it's going to be tight at least, but recent form is just fantastic, and the matchup's not too bad. So Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, it's another one that I considered. Not a player, I'll be honest with you, that I get too excited to bet on. But again, the hit rate's fantastic. The minutes opportunity is going to be there. The spread's only 6.5. Honestly, don't hate it. So feel free to check that one out. Next, we've got the Atlanta Hawks versus the Boston Celtics. Now, this game has blowout written all over it. The spread in this game, what is it? Minus 15, perhaps. Let's check it out. 15.5 is a spread, which is just disgusting. So, do you want to bet on a game that's most likely going to be a blowout? I don't know. Like Jason Tatum, his line's at 28.5. 72% hit rate. He only scored 28 last time against them, and that's because he only played 30 minutes in a blowout, right? And in that game, they were missing Jaylen Brown as well. So, you could take a Jason Tatum under, but he's probably going to have 20 points at halftime. So that'll be a risky play. It's not a lean. That's just what happened to be up on my screen. But if you want to talk more recent form, what's been hitting consistently, we've got Derek White rebounds. He's cashed this in 4 out of 5. He's 4 out of his last 5 games. Did have 6 rebounds against the Atlanta Hawks last time. I managed to pull that with only 10 rebound chances. So the matchup for boards is a nice one. The Hawks, they're going to miss a whole lot of shots here. There's no Trae Young. I don't know how they generate offense. And the Celtics take a whole lot of threes, which means there's a lot of long rebounds for guards if they happen to miss. But being straight up with you guys, there's nothing in this game I love. The blowout factor absolutely scares me. And if we think there's a real potential for a blowout, one person I think of is Clint Capella. Now, looking at his PRA for Clint Capella, his line's at 21.5. Last game against the Boston Celtics, only had 8 PRA. They lost by 30. He only played 17 minutes. He was 1 from 3 from the field. Only had 5 rebounds. He pretty much went under all of his lines. So that's probably a bet that I could take, to be honest. If Boston are going to play 5 out, probably makes sense to play more Okongwu than Clint Capella. I don't think he's going to be as useful. And if you have no Trae Young in the mix, what the hell do you need Clint Capella in there setting screens? Like, who's you going to be setting these screens for? So, yeah, Clint Capella unders. Now I think about it, I'm probably going to bet this play. So I got 2 bets for you. I got Giannis and we got Clint Capella under his PRA. I just don't think he's going to be there long enough to make it work. What's his points line? 11.5. Yeah, I like the under there. 1.5 assists. Happy to take the under there. And his rebound line's at 8.5. Unless he gets a lot of minutes, I don't see him going over this. Celtics, not going to give up a lot of boards to centers anyway. So Clint Capella, PRA, let's book it. I like the under. We'll take that one. Let's jump into the next game because I'm not loving that one at all. And I'd be tired as hell. We got the Knicks versus 76ers. And again, this one doesn't overly excite me too much. And that's because that big motherfucker is back. Joel Embiid returning from injury here. You can't rely on any data because it's his first game of the season. His usage rate is normally sky high. He is a foul merchant. So there's just risks all over this game, right? Joel Embiid's line's 25.5, but is there news of a minutes restriction? How rusty is he going to be? He's up against his nemesis in Karl Anthony Towns, though. So I'm sure the motivation's going to be there, but there's just too many unknowns. We don't know how he's going to play. We don't know how he's going to play with Paul George. It's their first game together. We don't know how that impacts everybody else. So, yeah, pretty much uncertain on Philly at this point. Probably a good game to just wait and see. The line in this game is 1.5, so they should get minutes and opportunities, a lot of these players. But we've got Jalen Brunson. Not loving what I've seen from him this season. If I'm looking at Knicks games, I'm usually betting on Karl Anthony Towns and his rebounds. Been rebounding out of his mind. Line at 10.5. He's averaging 12 boards a game, but now he's up against Joel Embiid, right? Karl Anthony Towns can find foul trouble better than most people, and Joel Embiid milks fouls better than most people. So that's my hesitation betting on Karl Anthony Towns. I can't even put that down as a lean. But if I had to be honest with you guys, the only bet from this game I considered taking was this one from Mikal Bridges. The hit rate's excellent. He's covered his points line of 13.5 in 7 out of 9 games, averaging 15 a game. Scoring 13.5 on the line. I think he can definitely do it. He scores from all over the court, but out of all the players from the Knicks, he does have a pretty good shot profile when it comes to shooting from the corners. Philadelphia's defense this season, pretty average across the board, but especially in those corners. And another reason why I like this is Mikal Bridges was drafted by the 76ers. He got sent packing, I think, and he's pretty much turned up very well against them. If you look at his numbers, you probably have to go on to StatsMuse, but Mikal Bridges versus Philadelphia 76ers, the hit rate is insane. So he's also got that. The hit rate this season's good. His hit rate against Philly is amazing. They're the main points there. But yeah, I lean to the over for Mikal Bridges, probably the only lean that I have in this game. The next one is the Raptors versus the Bucks. I'm already betting on Giannis. I had two different leads in this game. The first one was RJ Barrett. I liked his under in assists, 5.5. Now, this is because Emmanuel Quickly's back in the lineup. He's played 2 games with Emmanuel Quickly this season. He's only averaging 3.5 assists. He needs 6 assists in order to cash this. The matchup is a good one. Milwaukee Bucks. They are allowing a whole lot of assists, but at the same time, they've got no Dame. So I think the Bucks' defense should improve, if I'm being honest with you. So that might be a tougher matchup than expected for RJ Barrett. The 2 games with Emmanuel Quickly had 12 potential assists against the Clippers and only 7 potential assists against the Lakers. What we'll do here is if we just take a look, so they're the last 2 games. Look at his games this season, and if we use one of the new filters that Props Madness has to see his usage rate, we can see it here in this blue graph, right? His usage rate was pretty sky high and consistent. His last 2 games, that usage rate has come down 23 and 26%. Prior to that, his usage rate was above 30%. So what we could do is look at his usage rate. I haven't done this yet, but if we look at his usage rate when it's between 20, let's just go 20 and 28 from last season. I wonder what his assist numbers look like. So 20 and 28. In his last 20 games with that usage rate, he's gone over this assist prop in only 5 of those games, averaging 4.2 assists. So if you're looking at last year's season data, but if we also include Emmanuel Quickly, games with Emmanuel Quickly with this usage rate, gets a little bit worse. 4 out of his last 20 games with Emmanuel Quickly with that type of usage rate we could expect in this game, he hasn't hit it very well. So shit, I might have just talked myself into it. RJ Barrett under his assist prop makes a whole lot of sense to me. Now, Emmanuel Quickly is a game time decision. Let's not fire off too early. But if he does play, then RJ Barrett under in his assists is probably a good look. But I'm going to have to wait till the news for that is confirmed. The other play that I did consider is this. It's Brook Lopez. Looking at his under in points and assists. Now, the hit rate on this season is fantastic. He's only gone over this line in 1 out of 10 games. He's averaging 10.6 points and assists this season. Now, there's no Dame in the lineup, but does that really impact Brook Lopez, his volume of shots? Does it impact his assist numbers? I honestly don't think so. If we look at last season's data and we look at the games without Damian Lillard, there was 10 of those games. He averaged 14.7 points and assists. He only hit this line in 4 out of the 10 games. And he had some excellent games against Memphis, OKC, and Indiana. And defensively, I think they were giving it to him. Whereas this Raptors team, pretty soft in the paint. If we look at the opposition defense, giving it up under the basket. They're actually giving it up all over the joint, if I'm being fair. But Brook Lopez, that was one that I considered. The hit rate on it this season is just fantastic. First game without Dame. Does he need to do any work? That's a question. So I do lean to his under, but for this particular game, I'll probably just bet on Giannis and I'll leave it at that. And then I might bet on RJ Barrett depending on the status of Emmanuel Quickly. Next, we've got the Phoenix Suns versus the Utah Jazz. Now, no KD in this game for Phoenix. They'll be missing him. I think a popular play we'll probably see is Lauri Markkanen to go over his points prop. His line's at 19.5. He's got pretty good history playing against Phoenix. If we check out those numbers last season, look at that. 25 points as an average, covering this line in 3 out of the 4 games. The whole thought process here is no KD. There's nobody with length to really defend Lauri, and I will agree with that. He'll most likely see Ryan Dunn. Lauri's got the matchup advantage in terms of size. My question is, given they don't have anyone of his size to defend him, does that mean the Phoenix Suns double team, right? The other hesitation I have with this is on Keontae George. I don't know if he's going to play or not. If he doesn't play, then Lauri probably sees a lot more opportunities. But if he does play, then he probably doesn't see as much. That's the only concern. Like the last game against the Spurs where he scored 20, no Keontae George in that game. So that's my only hesitation. But a lot of people are betting on Lauri Markkanen, and I get it. It makes sense to me, but probably not something that I'm interested in right now. Another real interesting one here is on Walker Kessler. And if you look at his steals plus his blocks, check out this hit rate. Boom! Walker Kessler over 2.5 steals plus blocks. Odds are at -105, so pretty good odds here for Walker Kessler. Now, he's hit this in 7 out of 9 games. He is averaging 3.2 steals plus blocks. Now, the 2 games he went under, Golden State Warriors, who play small. He only played 20 minutes in that game. And the San Antonio Spurs. He only played 19 minutes in that game, and that's because Wemby was dragging his big ass out on the perimeter. There was really no point to keep Walker Kessler in the games. Whereas all these other games, he was playing close to 30 minutes, and he managed to cover these numbers. And he's up against the Phoenix Suns here. Phoenix Suns, they got a big bloke of their own, Yusuf Nurkic. But he's a game time decision, right? And I think whether Yusuf Nurkic plays or not, probably going to impact Kessler's minutes on the floor. I'm just taking a quick look at the depth chart for the Phoenix Suns to see who they have. If Nurkic is not able to go, we're probably going to see more Mason Plumlee. But then we'll also see them probably play small, where Royce O'Neal gets a bit more game time. But Mason Plumlee on there, again, it still means Walker Kessler could definitely defend him. That'll keep him on the court. So Walker Kessler to go over his steals plus blocks, I think that's a pretty good look. The one thing I'd like to check is just the defense versus position. And let me show you what I'm looking at real quick. Let me zoom in just in case you guys can't see it. All right, we're looking at centers. We're looking at blocks for the most part. And where does Phoenix sit on this? And Phoenix allow the second fewest blocks to centers in the league. So, and look, probably makes sense. The Phoenix Suns don't attack the rim as much as some other teams. Prefer to take a whole lot of jump shots given the types of players they have on their team. I wonder how he went against them last season. He had one game with 6 blocks, 6 steals and blocks, 2 steals, 4 blocks, which is pretty promising. But then he also had another game where he only had the 1. But the hit rate on it is great this season. I probably won't bet it knowing that the Phoenix Suns ain't giving up too many blocks, if I'm being honest with you. But I think it's a really interesting look. The hit rate on it is fantastic. But I'll leave it up to you. It's something if you want to do or not. All right, next game, we're looking at the Mavs versus the Warriors. A few game time decisions here. Luka Doncic most likely will play Andrew Wiggins as well, but so is Derek Lively and PJ Washington, all game time decisions. So I don't want to touch Gafford if there's a chance that Derek Lively is going to come back. That's definitely one thing. This is not a lean of mine, but we've got to talk about it. It's Klay Thompson, his return in Golden State Warriors. What the fuck? In Golden State. Klay Thompson makes his return. His line was at 14.5. It's starting to move to 15.5. So a lot of people betting on the narrative. Klay Thompson heading back home, trying to get revenge. Revenge for what? He left. Like, that was his choice. But Klay Thompson, it makes sense. The matchup's not too bad for him. I think he's going to take a whole lot of shots. Does he make them? Probably. I'm not overly excited by narrative betting, if I'm being honest with you. But one lean that I do have in this is for this man, my man Kyrie Irving. But the play that I like is actually his rebounds. Look at his rebound form and his numbers. His line's at 3.5. He's hit the over in 7 out of his last 10 games. 4 consecutive games in a row, he's gone over this rebound line. And in 3 games against the Golden State Warriors last season, he averaged 5.7 rebounds. He hit this in 2 out of 3 games. He had 8 rebounds in each of those games. I haven't looked into the box score, looked at any film to figure out why he only finished with 1 rebound in this particular game. But 2 out of 3 games last season. The hit rate on it this season is terrific. Why the hell not? If we look at similar types of players, there's a 19% rebound difference, which means similar types of players have gone over their rebounds line. If we just look at the position, 11 out of 15 guards have gone over their rebounds line against the Golden State Warriors. The odds for it aren't fantastic. You're looking at an average odds at about -135. So if I was going to take Kyrie Irving to go over his rebounds prop, I'd probably add him to score 15 points, see if you can get better odds, or I don't know, add something else to it that you might like to see if you can get some better odds to get rid of some of that juice. Or you could just play Kyrie Irving over his rebound prop straight up as it is. But that's the main prop that I do like in this game. I might have just talked myself into betting it, if I'm being honest with you. Fuck it. Let's do it. So we got Giannis over his points and assists, Clint Capella under his PRA, Kyrie Irving over his rebounds. I do like him. So we've got 3 official bets. I'm just checking to see if there's anything else within this game that gets my attention. Actually, it's this. Draymond Green over his PRA. Where's Draymond at? The donkey. All right. His PRA is set at 18.5. He's actually covered this in 5 out of his last 6 games. So Draymond playing very well right now in terms of racking up these stats. In terms of scoring the ball, he's scoring half of his points as a spot-up shooter. Dallas, not the best team at defending those, especially someone like Draymond Green. I can see them leaving him and trying to limit your Stephs, your Buddy Hield, potentially your Wiggins as well. Draymond. Fuck, I'm losing my mind. If we look at last season's head-to-head numbers against Dallas, pretty good, 25 and 16 in the 2 games. Not overly impressed by that hit rate, if I'm being honest with you. Did average 20 PRA, but it's more a recent form type of thing for Draymond. Playing very well right now. That's all I could say. I might not like him as an individual, but as a player, he's got his place in the league, I guess. But that's an interesting look. I'm not going to bet it. I like the Kyrie rebound prop a little bit better, and I'll probably just live with that one, to be honest. Klay Thompson, like I said, not betting on that narrative, so I'll pass on that. Then the very last games in Minnesota Timberwolves versus the Blazers. And I actually do have another bet that's in this game. I wrote it down, but I haven't submitted the bet yet. But I'll take you through it real quick. I'm looking at Nas Reed over his points prop. It's moving to 11.5, but you can still get it at 10.5 in some places. Regardless, I think it's a good look. Nas Reed over this 11.5 line in 7 out of 10 games, averaging 14 points per game this season. Already scored 15 points against Portland 4 days ago. The matchup is nice. Portland, they're very good at limiting points in the paint. So Julius Randle might have a difficult time. So I think they revert to a little bit more Nas Reed. Rudy Gobert should have a difficult time here as well. I do like Nas Reed. You can see it here. They're one of the worst teams in the league at defending spot-up shooting. Nas Reed lives for the spot-up. And you can see it in this shot chart right here. They only defend the paint and they give up everything else. So your Nas Reeds could have a good game. Maybe an Anthony Edwards, a Dante DiVincenzo. I think they can all have a good game here. For me, I like the idea of Nas Reed going off. Just makes a whole lot of sense to me. So I've got that. What's another lean that I do have in this game, though? Yeah, I'm taking a look and nothing's really catching my attention here, especially if we're looking for consistency. Players with a great hit rate. There's nothing jumping out to me right now. I think in the morning, I'll probably have had a better look at these things. So be sure to sign up to that free winnable and you'll get to see the picks that I do ultimately land on. But even just from today's video, I think we've got quite a few good ones. I'll recap those for you in a minute. So we're like Giannis over his points and assists. We've got Clint Capella under his PRA. Kyrie Irving over 3.5 rebounds. Nas Reed over his points prop. I think they're the main 4 that I'm going to run with for now. But I've got a whole list of different things to look at when I wake up in the morning. Sorry to say, I'm just tired as hell right now. So I know a lot of you guys appreciate all the effort, the work that goes into this. Shout out to everyone else who's doing the same grind here on YouTube. But it's a whole lot of effort. It's a long season. And I don't want to push myself too hard at this point. So I'm going to edit this video. I'll get it out to you guys. Another thing I want to call out, you guys have been doing a wonderful job leaving some comments in the comment section around the different players. So be sure to drop some knowledge on everybody else. Share your bets, share the reasons why, and hopefully we can all eat together. Hopefully you guys appreciated the video. If you do, reminder, smash that like button, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. I'll be back similar time tomorrow, hopefully more energized and we can get into a deeper dive. Best of luck to you and best of luck to us, ladies and gents. Peace.